The German accent when speaking English is something I constantly have to fight. In the beginning I had the idea that eventually I would just lose it entirely, but this is not true. And I think this is somewhat related to the fact that whenever you speak a language, you are actually in your brain constantly requiring these small building blocks of the language. So if you speak German, for example, or French or Italian, what you're constantly basically using are these small building blocks called phonemes, and these are constantly used. So your mouth and also your throat is constantly used, and also your brain is constantly used to speaking these. Now if you then again switch to another language, you basically, that's kind of my theory, you are trying to speak the other language with the building blocks you learned in your early childhood first. If you didn't grow up bilingual, or even with 3 languages, then the problem is that you are trying to speak another language with these building blocks. And this usually results in you using the building blocks that sound the most similar to the building blocks you actually need in the foreign language. And now, when it comes to trying to get rid of my German accent, there is another trick that helped me kind of. And this is to imitate other people. And I think it works because it is very specific. It's not trying to somehow trying to improve your English accent by using certain things you read on the internet. But it's, here is a person, here is how the person speaks, and now let's try to sound more like this person. Of course, this results in you sitting alone in your room and trying to imitate a person. And I think this is a very good way in order to sound more like someone who speaks the mother tongue. I actually, from an English-speaking friend from the UK, have heard that my English, at least at this point in time, now I think the German accent is more and more getting back in because I don't speak that much English anymore. And I also usually only speak English, or most of the English I speak is making videos, but not in a conversational style where I actually get constant feedback from someone else. A constant feedback of the other person, maybe not understanding your pronunciation, which is an issue I am working on again and again and again. So in order to then still be able to make some progress, I again and again find myself that I again find that the most efficient, or one of the most efficient solutions to trying to get rid of my German accent is to just try to speak like either someone from the UK, but it has to be someone kind of specific. You can also make a mocking character of someone who speaks like he's from the UK. And the same is true for the US, the same is maybe true for Australia, but I cannot really pin down the Australian accent. What I also am hearing whenever somebody else speaks English is their accent. I don't know if my brain has maybe an increased targeting area for these kind of languaging things, or these things regarding language, but I notice, I think very easily, or it is not hard for me to very easily notice the different pronunciations someone has when speaking a foreign language. And therefore, well, that's the end, and that's how I try to get rid of my German accent every now and then. What actually helps is to have like this proxy voice in your head, and then you try to get closer to this proxy voice. For me, this is kind of the trailer guy from the US that speaks all these inner world videos, and I try to just make my normal voice sound more similar to this. Of course, your normal voice is only the voice you usually use, that's your speaking habit, so to say, and you probably have a wider range of possible speaking voices, but that's what I'm trying to do.